Hello, welcome. My name is Jordan. This is your 60-minute yin sequence. I'm so excited that you're here. However you are, wherever you are, welcome. Tonight we'll be moving through a sequence designed to just realign the physical body, maybe even the energetic, the subtle body. I don't know about y'all, but I know about me. And after a full moon, any kind of lunar event, and we did have our full moon, super moon on October 6th. I feel a little bit of an energetic shift around that kind of celestial event, especially when it comes to my creative endeavors, maybe even heightened sensitivity, perhaps even intense emotions can pop up during that time, before that time, and maybe shortly after that time, I might feel a little bit depleted. So the sequence is just kind of designed with that in mind. During those times, it's almost as if, the moon acts as a beacon or a magnet, or perhaps just a simple reminder to guide us back towards our life path, our aspirations, and our goals, whatever we want to manifest, if you will, for ourselves. This sequence is designed just to realign the body physically and energetically by balancing the heart, the sacral, and the root chakra, maybe even the throat chakra. And as always, this is your practice. If energetic or subtle body balancing is not a part of your practice, you're welcome to view this time as just a time to be with yourself, be with your breath, practice acceptance for the way things are in the present moment, which is always, always, always enough. And physically, we'll be creating some space in the hips, the chest, and the shoulders. So I'd recommend having 2 blocks available. We'll be coming into some folds, getting into the hips, as I mentioned, with our swan shape, which you may recognize from any vinyasa class as your half pigeon. So if you like to have a blanket or a bolster handy just to bring the earth up to meet the hips there, or in any of our shapes, feel free to grab a couple of props, take a moment to set up your space, maybe light a special candle, put on some instrumental or nature sounds. That's always a great option. And we'll get started kneeling. I'd recommend kneeling towards the back of your space. For me, I'm going to be sitting up on a blanket. It's just a little bit more cushion. Bring a little bit of softness into the practice. We'll be holding our shapes for 3 to 4 minutes. As always, you're welcome to make an adjustment. Come out at any time. You're not stuck in whichever shape you've ended up in. You can always come out, choose a different shape entirely. This is your time. You make all of the decisions about what happens on the 4 corners of your mat. That being said, meet me in your kneeling shape. Maybe cross-legged feels better, or a child's pose even, just to create a little bit of space for deep conscious breaths here. Maybe close down the eyes or soften the gaze. See how it feels to turn the awareness inward. Noticing the space between the whole top row and the whole bottom row of teeth. And unsticking the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Taking a quiet, unbiased inventory of whether this has an impact on any gripping or holding in the physical body. And continue to deepen your breath. These touchstones here, this space between the teeth, inspiring of unraveling in tension in the face, and the depth and quality of your breath. These are your North Stars throughout your practice. Use them to inspire softness, to inspire release. Not necessarily a collapse towards the earth, but a knowing, a trust that the surface beneath will support you. We'll take a deep breath in and out together here to start our time to move together. Taking a deep breath in through the nose, slow and steady. Notice the sound, the temperature. Pausing at the top, retaining the breath, embracing this fullness. And when you're ready, exhale out the mouth, slow and steady. Releasing any stale, stagnant air. Maybe pausing at the bottom, suspending the breath. And come home to your natural rhythm of breath. You can flutter the eyes open if you'd like, and we'll shift forward to our tabletop shape. Perhaps you'd like to pad the knees with a blanket. We'll be here for a little bit of time. Coming into our thread the needle. Starting with the left palm rooted. And when you're ready, reach your right hand up to the sky. And on your exhale, thread the right arm underneath the left shoulder, any amount, maybe not moving right to our end range of motion or where we believe that to be right here today or where it has been in the past. And pausing where sensation begins and allowing the pose to take us deeper into the body. Maybe you bring a blanket or a pillow underneath the right side of the head. Allowing the breath to come and go like soft waves, maybe on a moonlit beach. Coming back to that space between the teeth. Softening the face. Being present with sensation. Something therapeutic and sustainable, if it could be described as sharp or painful or even overwhelmingly distracting, take that as an opportunity to ease out, reconnect with the breath, maybe add something to bring the earth up to meet your body, to hold you here in space. We're just past the halfway point. It's a great place to make an adjustment if you'd like. Maybe scooch the knees in a little closer. Inviting a little bit more surrender to the pull of gravity. Returning to the breath. One more full cycle of breath here. And you can press into the left hand and unravel, reach the right hand high, Noticing any sensations along the way. Deep breath in, re-extending the right hand, maybe rolling out the wrist. And maybe you'd like to take a circle or two with the right hand, circling through the arm, the shoulder, one way, and then the other. And we'll meet back in center and take it right on in to the second side. Rooting down this time through the right hand and inhaling the left hand high. Big breath in. And exhale, thread the left arm underneath your right shoulder, any amount. Maybe this side calls for something a little bit different. We can still cultivate balance by doing two things that maybe don't look exactly the same. Follow the depth and quality of your breath. Almost like your own personal language here, using it to communicate, to listen to what the body needs, to find release here in this shape. One more full cycle of breath wherever you've landed, slow and steady. And we'll reroute through the right hand. Gently, we come back the way we came, pressing into the earth. Reach your left arm to the sky. Maybe you'd like to circle the wrist or the shoulder. Becoming curious about these in-between moments. And coming back, maybe sinking the hips towards the heels to reset, taking what you need. And we'll move into our half swan, starting from our tabletop shape. And we'll be here a little bit longer than our thread the needle, closer to 4 minutes. Starting in your tabletop shape, go ahead and, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and kick both legs one at a time towards the back of your space. I don't know about y'all, but I know about me. And sitting on my knees, having my knees bent for too long is a little uncomfortable. So take a moment just to extend one leg and then the other in your tabletop shape, mindful not to excite the muscles too much. Just bring a little bit of space to the backs of the knees. And when you're ready, kick the right leg long. Take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, draw the right knee up towards your right wrist. And you're welcome here to slide the left leg long towards the back of your space, or you can sink the hips to the right, bend into your left knee, and bring your left knee up towards the bottom of your right foot. Taking what you need, finding the variation that suits your practice today. For me, I'm going to kick my left leg long. It can also be nice to bring something to lift the right glute, just so we're not dumping too much weight into the joints. Maybe you take a block out in front of you, come down to the forearms, being especially mindful in these shapes of our knees and any gripping or clenching in the body. Seeing if we can bring an awareness back to that space between the teeth. Allowing softness to gently expand from wherever the first domino falls. Extending a gentle invitation to surrender here. Avoiding collapse. Embracing a little bit of trust that the earth will come up to meet us without judgment, soft and steady. One more full cycle of breath here. Bringing a little bit of extra awareness to the temperature of the breath, the very edge of your exhale. And press up onto the palms and move right on into our next shape, starting from our sleeping swan or our swan shape. If you had the left knee bent, go ahead and extend it out long, and we'll shift the weight over into the right hip and sweep your left leg up and around. Maybe the sole of the left foot plants on the outside of the right thigh. Forgot the word for that part of the body. Awesome. Outside of the right thigh. And this is a wonderful place to pause, to listen to sensations that are arising in the body. Or you can take something, maybe something soft, to bring between the knees, to just fill that gap and cross the left knee over on top of the right, finding your shoelace shape. We also have a third option to get a little bonus stretch. Maybe extend this right leg long underneath, maybe even bring something underneath that right knee just to avoid any hyperextension if you do have the leg out long. And take a moment, find your seat, maybe even bringing something to lift the sit bones, invite a little bit of length in the spine. Maybe having the hands on blocks. And if you'd like, you can also walk the blocks forward, folding any amount here. And we'll be here for 3 minutes, so not quite as long as our swan shape, but still pretty intense hip opening shape. So take what you need to invite a little bit of stability and come home to softness here. Take one more full cycle of breaths wherever you've landed. And begin to press up through center. If you'd fold it forward, moving any props off to one side. Planting the palms behind the body, flexing through the feet, and bringing a little bit of energy to the toes, using this to untie the knot of your legs from your knee pile. And find some gentle windshield wipers from side to side, or anything else that just feels intuitive. to bring a little bit of life back to the physical and energetic pathways of the body. Taking some deep, steady breaths. And we'll move into a supported fish before finding our little hip sequence on the second side. For me, I like to use a bolster along the spine for supported fish. But if you like to use a couple of blocks, that's also an option. Taking one kind of where the tip of your shoulder blades begin, the bottom tip of your shoulder blades, maybe leaning back with it there on its medium height, and then taking one for the base of your skull on its highest height or also on its medium height. So a couple of different options, taking what you need to find space in your supported fish. You can also find a floating fish, more restorative shape, taking a folded up blanket just to pad the earth where the head, the neck, the shoulders, and the upper to mid back will be, just to provide a gentle lift of the heart. A little bit more soothing maybe, but if you'd like to join me in supported fish or floating fish, choose your own adventure, if you will. And find a nice, slow, steady roll down. Seeing how it feels, making sure there's no pinching in the low back. And we're doing a lot with the hips today, so if you want to just keep the legs long, that's a great option. Or even take a blanket or a bolster underneath the knees. Or you can find your bound angle variation, taking soles of the feet together and the knees a little bit wide. And just take some deep, steady breaths here. We'll be here for about 4 minutes. Perhaps even imagining you could bloom every cell of the lungs with new and nourishing oxygen. Maybe even the lips part slightly. And we invite that surrender, the shoulder girdle, allowing the shoulder heads to become heavy, the hands, the elbow creases to become heavy. And invite release, bringing that awareness again to the very edge of your exhales, noticing the temperature of the mouth, the consistency of the breath as it leaves the body there. As you're ready, you need to wiggle fingers and toes. If you have the knees wide, go ahead and gently draw them back in towards the midline. We'll press into the forearms, snuggle them up close to the body. You need to lift the back of the head, tuck the chin, and press your way back up to an upright position. And we'll take a few moments in our caterpillar shape just to provide a little bit of an antidote to our heart opener. If you'd like to kick the legs long, maybe with something beneath the knees, finding a seated forward fold. Maybe take your bolster along the legs, maybe even a block on top of your bolster. Take the heels a little bit wide, making this a little bit more restorative. And you can even take the palms, the heel of each hand, and use it to gently cover the eye sockets, not providing too much pressure, or maybe even not any pressure at all on the actual eyes. Just to find a moment here of pratyahara, withdrawing of the senses, turning awareness inward, and breathing into the back body. Take 1 to 3 more cycles of breath here. Noticing if the air is cool as it enters through the nose. And is it a little bit warmer as it leaves through the nose or the mouth? Releasing softly, without force, any stale or stagnant breath. You begin to walk the palms in if you had them forward, releasing the hands from the eyes. We'll take our props off to one side if you had a little pile going on the tops of your legs like me. And we'll find our hip opening sequence on the second side. So when you're ready, you can bend, draw the left heel in towards the pelvis and sweep your right leg around. Maybe keeping the right knee bent, drawing it up towards the sole of your left foot. Or if you'd like, maybe extending it long towards the back of your space, taking a moment to wiggle it out here. Find center, whatever that feels like to you today. Maybe it's a different center than yesterday. Maybe we walk the left heel up or walk it further in towards the pelvis. Staying up tall. When you're ready, finding a fold forward. Maybe coming all the way down to the earth, walking the hands forward, resting on the forehead or one cheek. Or taking some blocks to bring the earth up to meet the hands. Maybe even the chest or the forehead. Letting the arms rest. Taking deep, nourishing breaths here, all the way down to the bowl of your pelvis. Noticing the impact of sensation on your inhales, maybe even deepening the breath to intensify those sensations, to inspire adjustments, and finding softness, allowing it to take up a little bit more space. Feet folded forward onto the forearms, begin to press up onto the palms. And extend the right leg long if you have the right knee bent. Shift the weight into the left hip and sweep your right leg up and around, stamping the right foot to the outside of the left thigh. And seeing if maybe this is where we'd like to pause. Bringing the right heel maybe up towards the left hip. Allowing the right ankle, maybe the right toes are hovering off the earth. That's completely okay. Or if you'd like, you can begin to slide the right knee to stack, in theory, on top of the left. Anywhere in that general vicinity, as long as the intention is there and the breath is deep. Surprise, we're doing yoga. So go ahead and make any adjustments you may want for this side, bringing something between the knees, or maybe even extending that bottom leg for a little bonus stretch and a little bit of rest in that left knee. And find your shoelace, your version. Coming home to center. And if you'd like, you can sit up nice and tall or hinge forward, finding a fold. Bring yourself back slow and steady to an upright position. You can place any props off to one side, maybe having them in reaching distance. Plant the palms behind the body, flex into the feet, unwind, uncross the legs, and take what you need here. This rebound shape. And flexing the feet to look back at you, pointing through the toes, bouncing the knees a time or two. And we'll make our way down to the back body, where we'll spend the rest of our time. So if you'd like to grab a sip of water, if there's something you like to have for your transition to Shavasana, go ahead and reach for that now. We will need to have at least one block and or maybe a bolster handy, maybe a blanket. Who knows? Go ahead and find a nice slow roll down. Taking a moment to stretch out long when you arrive. And we'll move into supported bridge or pontoon. And I'd recommend using a bolster here underneath the hips rather than a block, just because maybe it's a little softer. We've already done a lot with the hips already. And we'll have an opportunity to keep the hips lifted and move into either a variation of your waterfall, your legs up the wall shape, or snail, which is kind of like the yin version of plow. So go ahead and reach for your block if you'd like to lift the hips for supported bridge, bringing it underneath the sacrum, or you can join me in sliding a bolster or maybe a folded up blanket underneath the hips. Just gonna move my necklace so it doesn't get too tangled and distracting in my microphone. Sorry about that. Snuggle the shoulder blades beneath the body, find a lift in the heart. And this is a wonderful place to pause, to embrace the breath, deepen sensation. Or if you'd like, you can kick the legs out long for pontoon or a variation of it anyway. Maybe even reaching the arms up overhead, getting a little bit of a bonus stretch. Taking what you need. Invite a little bit of softness. Breathing into the whole front line of the body. you had the legs long, go ahead and gently bend the knees. And we have a couple of options from here. We can either take the toes towards the sky for a variation of legs up the wall. That's where you'd like to pause. Or you can hug the knees in towards the chest, finding maybe a gentler variation of our snail shape or just an elevated reclined child's pose. Or if you'd like, you can begin to slide your bolster a little bit further up the back body just to provide a little bit of support here, and hug the knees in towards the chest, maybe crossing one ankle over the other or allowing the knees to come in towards the collarbones, letting the feet just sort of dangle here, hanging out in space, just moving the back body in the opposite direction. Maybe even getting a little bit of compression if you're in your snail shape. Keeping in mind there's no end goal here. There's no goalpost shape in any yoga, but especially in yoga. Take what you need. Bring awareness to any interesting sensations in the body, maybe even in the mind. If you're in your snail shape, go ahead and bend into the knees. Allow the weight of your heels to guide the feet back towards the earth. Same for your waterfall, your legs up the wall. We'll lift the hips just enough to slide the bolster out from underneath you. And take a moment just with the spine long here, maybe even the calves or the backs of the knees elevated. And we have an option to, if you'd like, stay here reclined, embracing a little bit of stillness before your shavasana, or you can join me in a reclined bound angle, taking the soles of the feet the soles of the feet together and the knees as wide as you'd like them to be, maybe taking a block underneath one or both knees. We'll just be here for the next 2.5 minutes. Maybe resting one hand on the low belly, one hand on the center of the chest. Noticing the rise and fall of the breath as it blooms through the body. And bringing that same awareness to the last bit of our exhale, temperature of the mouth here. So the breath carries with it anything that's just no longer ours and sends it back to be recycled into the universe so we can create space for what's meant for us. If you're in your Supta Baddha Konasana, your reclined bound angle, go ahead and guide the knees back in towards the midline, maybe finding constructive rest, a little bit of internal hip rotation here, relief in the lumbar spine, knees together, feet wide. Taking some grounding breaths, noticing the heaviness of the sacrum, the pelvis, points of contact the whole back body makes with the surface supporting you. Noticing maybe how it comes up to meet you without judgment. Or bringing in awareness to any spaces that could use a little bit of support. Maybe a bolster underneath the knees, a blanket over the body or beneath the head. As we come into our final and most important shape, your Shavasana shape. No pressure. Arrive here as you are, knowing that that in itself is enough. The only effort required here, perhaps, is just the effort to stay, to embrace stillness, not born from rigidity, but from a presence, noticing the heartbeat, the lungs bloom with breath. Maybe we notice the mind begin to wander, and that's okay. Come home to your breath. It can be your touchstone, even still here, and rest in your Shavasana shape. You are welcome to stay in your rest shape for as long as you'd like. But I do want to respect your time and let you know the end of our hour is approaching. So if that's your cue to begin bringing the body back to wakefulness with care, I invite you to deepen the breath. Bring in any small movements that feel intuitive. Keeping in mind, this is still a part of your practice. This is still your time. This gentle invitation to move mindfully and with an awareness to invite the new and beautiful space you took the time to make today to come up off your mat and into the next chapter of your day or your night, the next chapter of your practice off the mat. Over time, you can make your way to one side, stretching out long, finding a comfortable seat, or we can take a cycle of breath together to celebrate this hour spent in community doing yoga and honor the decision you made to fill your cup with a practice of yin yoga. From your comfortable seat or however you are, wherever you are, I invite you to join the thumbs together at the heart, Anjali Mudra. Take a moment to draw them down just below the ribs or in line with the low ribs, the base of the sternum lifting the heart, gently pressing the hands together, creating space for one more big, beautiful breath with each other. Inhale through the nose, pausing at the top. Maybe take an extra sip just for good luck. And exhale, let it go, sigh it out, send it out. Thank you for sharing your time and your practice, not only with me, but with each other. It's always such a privilege and honor to be here as your guide as you make this amazing choice to bring a little bit more presence, not only to your world, but to the world of those around you by taking care of yourself, your body, and your breath. Namaste.